Now for our third and final topic, England have gone crazy, or have the Australians just lowered their level of
I think it's
cricket?
both.
It's both. England are the number one day side. India are number 2, and
Not needed because we're talking about England and Australia, but
Doesn't
India
matter.
does play
Yes.
England in the next series. Yeah,
yes, so it is relevant.
very well.
But it's just been shocking that England have. I'm not saying it's shocking that England have done well. It's just how well.
Very
300
well.
constant 300 plus scores, chasing these scores down also, setting a target of 481, a world record. I thought they were going to hit 500. I was like, damn it, I'm disappointed.
That's where we've reached. That we're getting disappointed by a team not getting to 500 in an ODI.
I'm like, I asked my brother, who's like the biggest England fan, and I thought he would end up saying England will reach 600, but he didn't. He was pretty reserved, and he said 505.
Really realistic. 505.
505, and they didn't make it. I was
Disappointing.
very disappointed. But I'm also been pretty disappointed with how Australia have been. Is that a surprise to you?
Well, England played Australia before Smith and Warner were banned from cricket in Australia, and England won that series 4-1. So for them to now come to England, play in these conditions, which are, I wouldn't call them very alien because these pitches are batting friendly pitches, but yeah, very different conditions from what you see in Australia. And you don't have a Stephen Smith as a captain. You don't have David Warner as one of the best ODI batsmen. You don't have a Josh Hazlewood. You don't have a Mitchell Starc. You don't have a Pat Cummins. You don't have a Nathan Coulter-Nile. You have...
It's a long list.
It's a long list. Injuries, suspensions. You are bound to find issues. And then you're playing a team which is ranked 1 in the world in ODI cricket, and deservedly so. It's not because the rankings have been here and there, and they've played a few matches at home and they've not played anything overseas. It's just that they have batted the way they have, and their bowlers have done their job. It's not been a brilliant bowling side, but it's definitely a brilliant batting side that they have on pitches which have nothing for the bowlers.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not like England's bowling has been brilliant because, okay, other than the 481 chase which England won with 200
Which was
odd
scoreboard
runs,
pressure,
which is
and any
expected.
team would find it difficult to chase 481 when you know that half your team isn't there, and any kind of bowling attack would make it difficult
But
for you.
in the other one days, England have ended up conceding 300 plus runs, which is why they've had to chase that. So it hasn't been brilliant for England's bowling.
Well, let's not even blame the England bowling or the Australian bowling. It's just been those kind of pitches here where any kind of bowling attack on that Trent Bridge pitch would have conceded probably anywhere between say 400 to say 450. England, because of their batting, made nearly 500. So that's been an issue. And England, there is no two ways about it that England on these pitches, if the pitches don't have anything for the bowlers, where spinners are not going to come into their own, where there's not going to be any seam movement, no swing movement, England will ram home the advantage next World Cup, win probably 10 out of the 11 matches and win the World Cup. As simple as that. I don't think there are a lot of teams which can stop England given these situations, given these conditions.
That leads me to this question that, okay, England's bowling hasn't been the best, but their batting is superb. Hales, Bairstow, Roy, and etc. But it brings me to what Sachin Tendulkar has tweeted about the use of 2 new balls on either end, and it kills the whole reverse swing thing.
I'm very surprised that obviously when Sachin Tendulkar says something, it becomes news. Michael Atherton has written a column, and he said that 481, great job, but it's time that we start looking at those 2 balls again. Yeah. The reason why those 2 balls had come into being was not just because they wanted batsmen to flourish, was also because one ball wouldn't last the 50 overs. A wide ball.
Change on the 40th, around the 40th.
34th over. At the end of the 34th over, they would change the ball, and they would get a old ball, a semi-new ball. They wouldn't get a new ball. The problem with the wide ball is that it doesn't last 50 overs. There hasn't been a wide ball that lasts for 50 overs, and that becomes a problem because then it goes the other way around. The ball just doesn't come onto the bat. Reverse swing obviously happens. Spinners come into their own. you can't time the shots. So it's bit of extreme here that when you have just one ball, it doesn't last the 50 overs, and by the time we are in the 40th over, it becomes impossible, especially in chases where there is no dew. You know that a score of 250, the last 15 overs, teams would find it very difficult to even score 60, 65 runs, which should not be the case. Those were the days. And a lot of it was to do with the ball as well. So they went the other way. They tried to go back to the 1992 World Cup where they were using two balls. They started using those two balls. And now the issue is that to change it just 6 months before the World Cup, I don't think is feasible. I don't think it will happen because your strategy as a team over the 3 years has been with two new balls. And then you go into the World Cup suddenly knowing that, hey, we're going to be using only one ball. So this change that has to probably happen at the end of the World Cup. The only way now you can overcome a potential issue that I see in the World Cup with respect to these high scores, and I say this is a potential issue because it becomes one-sided, totally in favor of the batsman. The only way you can change this is ensure that the pitches have something in it.
Yeah.
You do not have pitches which allow you to first of all have grounds which are becoming smaller. Trent pitch, one of the smallest grounds, at least one side was one of the smallest. You can't have pitches which are going to be that blatantly in favor of batsmen. You need to give something. We saw what happened in the Champions Trophy semi-final. We were there, England, Pakistan.
Yeah.
The rest of the pitches were all batting friendly. That was a used pitch.
Yeah.
A used pitch was used for that match. Pakistan have good bowling.
England just couldn't
score.
Yeah.
And they might have improved from where they were. I think that was a learning experience for them as well. They would have improved from there. But at least the bowlers were in the game. They were bowled out for a 200 odd score. Might have scored 250, 260 with a better knowledge of how to play in these conditions. But at least the bowlers were in play. At least the team batting second after having conceded 250, 260 on a difficult pitch knows that they have a chance to win the match. Not when you have a 480 on the board. I know it's the bowling that was weak, but yeah, you need to give something for the bowlers. 480 probably needs to be a 420, a 400 to make it a little more interesting.
Were you a bowler by any chance?
I was a wicketkeeper batsman.
Yeah, you couldn't have bowled if you were a wicketkeeper, right? Unless you just decided to
I
take the gloves
was not
off.
an MS Dhoni. My wicketkeeping was decent, but my batting was more on the lines of Rahul Dravid. The strike rate bit, not the technique.
Good. For a second I thought you were a real bowler's advocate there. But just to make it's fair play basically,
Yeah, I personally am. I'm a huge fan of good bowling. I'm a huge fan of good pitches, and especially in test matches. I've never had the opportunity to rant about one-day pitches, but test matches I have ranted a lot on social media and otherwise.
Do you want to continue?
No, I actually don't. It's already a long video, but yeah, I mean, test matches, we've seen that pitches are becoming more result-oriented.
Yeah.
They are getting to a stage where not a lot of pitches are batting friendly anymore. Let's be very fair that boards are taking care of that.
I'm finding test match cricket really interesting. I mean, I enjoyed it before, but now I feel like I know this may not drag on to a draw.
Yep.
So it is interesting cricket.
Had those 2 hours not been lost, would have a result in the West Indies as well.
Yes, we would have. Damn it for Sri Lanka. But now, the next thing, we've spoken so greatly about England. The next thing is India have arrived. They played 2 T20s against Ireland. No warm-up matches for India. India had straight 2 T20s. And then 3 T20s against England, 3 ODIs against England as well. That's the series, and
the 5 test matches.
5 test
matches.
matches.
Something to look forward to.
Yes, and not just 2 against Pakistan like England just
that should have been the 3rd test match.
They should have been.
But interesting that you said that there was no warm-up, because Virat Kohli in his press conference said that all these matches are probably warm-up for the test matches. They will be used to the conditions. He did not use those words, but he actually meant that they will be used to the conditions by the time they play test matches. Because when you're talking about warm-up, you're talking about warming up for the test matches. One day is, well, the pitches are going to be what they are. They're going to be same at home. They're going to be here. They're going to be very similar. Ireland T20s, England T20s, the pitches are going to be flat.
Quite a lesson learned from before South Africa. Before they went to South Africa, there was no warm-up, which they decided not to play.
Yep. But should be interesting to watch India, the number 3 side in the T20s. Ireland, I'm talking about Ireland here. We've not spoken about Ireland, and we should, because there has been a lot of talk about how the associate nations, and how in this case now Ireland has become a full member nation after getting the test status, have not been getting a lot of matches. Ireland will be playing 2 matches. They just played a tri-series against Netherlands and Scotland, came third in that series. They have not had a great T20 record in recent times. I was just looking at the T20 rankings, which obviously fluctuate a lot because of the lack of matches. Ireland is ranked 17th in the world. Ireland was the 11th test playing nation, so you expect them to be there or thereabouts, even in the other formats of the game. They're 17th in the world. Oman and Hong Kong are better than them. Again, this is subject that asterisk mark there, because you know that these rankings can fluctuate. Ireland beat India in one of those matches, and suddenly they go up because they're beating a higher ranked side. But Ireland has not had a great T20 record in recent times, so it should be interesting whether they can really give India a scare, can beat them, or run for their money. Scotland did that in an ODI against England.
Yes.
And since then, again, a lot of talk about, we should be talking about how this 10-team format probably doesn't work in the World Cup.
We should probably do a video on that.
Next time?
Yeah, next time we should. But just before we finally end our video, and any predictions for the T20s, ODIs for India versus England?
I just said something on the lines of England, if they get these kind of pitches and they have that team that they have, they will probably win 9 or 10 of the World Cup matches to win the World Cup. I think they will win the series, the ODI series. I think they will start off
3-0, 2-1.
No, I think India will manage to win one match, but England will start as favourites in the ODI series, is what my perception
England?
is. India should win one match, yeah. England 2-1.
Okay, I'm going the opposite way. I'm going with 2-1 India, with what happened when England came to India. The same
also
result.
think that India will win the T20 series 2-1.
Interesting. So 2-1 to India for T20s,
Yes.
2-1 to England for the ODIs. I'm going 2-1 to India for T20s and the ODIs. Maybe I'm sort of hoping.
You should have gone for 3-0. You're the kind of fan that you are.
I am trying to become a realistic fan.
Yeah.
Attempt.
Yeah.
It'll all go out the window soon.
When the matches start.
But, so that's it. So that's it for this video, and hope you like, share, subscribe, and send us all your love and comments. That's it. Bye from us.
Bye-bye.